Good afternoon, all. We'll wait for 2 more minutes. Then, Ramya, you can start after 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. I think participants started joining. Wait for some more.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I was started telling you that your face alone was there. Now it is fine. Thank you, ma'am. I think, Ramya, can we start?
Yes, ma'am. Very warm good afternoon to all the participants here. We really enjoyed the energy which you had the first half of the day. So with the same spirit, I'm sure.
Ramya, 1 second. I think Uma ma'am, are you comfortable with?
Yeah, sure. You can hear me, right? Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure with the same spirit, we will enjoy the afternoon session too. I would like to reinstate here one point that last time when Uma ma'am was here, the feedback, the highest score who got it was Uma ma'am. Her presentation was really very interesting. She did not go by a go with a PPT, rather she made her speech more impressive. She made us relate to everyday experiences. And that is, we do remember what all the examples she quoted during January FDP. So ma'am, we are really, we have a lot of hope in you, and we welcome you for the session. And now I invite Dr. E. Povamal ma'am to invite the speaker of the day. Ma'am. Uma ma'am, please, participants, this is power interruption, so please do wait. Povamal ma'am will be.
It will take time, no? I will start. Yes. Sorry for the interruption. I think my power gone. Very good afternoon. This is my privilege to introduce Uma ma'am to the participants. Day 1, session 3, Women Entrepreneurship. On this topic, Dr. Mrs. Uma Mayappan ma'am is here with us. She is Director Commercial, Ayappan Engineering Works.
Uma Mayappan ma'am is an alumni of BITS Pilani with a Master of Management and Studies. She has decades of experience in advertising, communications, marketing, branding, and she is driving Asia Pacific Region National Council of Applied Economics Research Center. She is currently in family business, a full-time entrepreneur and MSME entrepreneur and MSME, she is in charge of implementing system and process. A strategic consultant of iOpen Technologies, which provide both software training and deep coaching. She is renowned motivational speaker, trainer, and think tank lead, and expertise in strategy development for consumer research, brand, and media planning. Her motto is keep smiling, and as she is seen on the screen, and learn and inspire all. And thank you so much, ma'am, for you accepting our invitation for the second time. And thank you, and we are eagerly waiting to listen to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for your very sweet words, Mrs. Ramya, when you started the session. And thank you, Puma ma'am, for a beautiful introduction. I know that all of you would have had a very exciting inauguration in the morning and very vibrant and energetic sessions in the morning. 2 o'clock in the afternoon is a very sleepy time. I hope I can keep you all awake. That's the reason why I don't use PowerPoints, because PowerPoints generally do not have that one-to-one interaction kind of a thing that we are on the online. Then it's easy for everybody to doze off. So I hope I will not sing a lullaby for you to sleep. And I hope you will. We will share a lot of good things on the topic that is given to me, and this will take us forward in our life, and we will also help others and inspire others to go forward in life. That's the typical motto or the one single thread line for this session. So thank you very much for the organizers to calling me in for the second time. You can feed in your questions that you have during the program, or after the program we can have an open-ended interactive session. So the topic that is given to me is women entrepreneurship. I was thinking, why women entrepreneurship in a forum of complete academic oriented people, complete academicians and entrepreneurship. What is the link? What am I going to speak about that? Then when I thought about it, I realized that there are two most important factors that connect you academicians with the entrepreneurs. One is that you are the gurus and the teachers, and you are in every way molding the next generation and the students who come into the society. So you inspire the students, you mold them, people actually follow you. So it is very important that you know what entrepreneurship is all about, and so that you can mold your students. I think India should start becoming a home of entrepreneurs once again, instead of we going and working for somebody else. More the entrepreneur, better the economy, and better power we have as Indians. So it's up to you, gurus and the teachers and the academic fraternity, to take it forward with the students to make more entrepreneurs, develop more entrepreneurs in India. So I thought this is a very apt session for that. And then I know that most of the universities have these incubation centers, and you have grants for the incubation centers, and you can actually guide the students to take up entrepreneurship and new innovative product development, everything in their during their education time, which is very, very good. And therefore, it gives me more happiness to share entrepreneurship and experience with you guys. The other thing is that when you look at the entrepreneurship or a business canvas at this point of time, the market, the edupreneurs, who are basically the education-oriented entrepreneurs, are on the very high rise. There are a lot of them. For example, if you take Byju's Ravindran always makes me wonder how he does that, because teaching somebody in a classroom and connecting to them and making them understand it's so difficult. And when you're doing that in online, that too concept learning, it takes that much more initiatives from the tutoring side. You guys, all of you know how teaching is all about and how education is all about and how difficult it must be to engage people in the online forum. So Byju's done a damn good job about taking this education entrepreneurship forward, and with lot of fundings they have received now also. And now the pandemic situation has helped them more to increase their business because of everything has become online now. While school teachers are finding it difficult to adapt themselves to online, Byju's had already done that to the students in the beginning itself. So students are more adapt to online education at this point of time. So the most important is whether you want to do it as online or actual classroom session. It is how you're going to take the class is very important. So basically, make content engaging and fun for the students. That is what Byju has done. They've only used the tech medium, but what they've done is concept learning, education in a fun way. So that is how edupreneurs, this entrepreneur plus education, they're called edupreneurs at this point of time. So they are doing a splendid job. There are many of them like that who are doing a very good business in this field. And I also know that a couple of years back, Sneha Priya, she's a co-founder of SP Robotics. They started this learning robotics for the students on the online. And they also have an offline model at this point of time. But they started online long back, and they didn't talk about education. They talked about education to the parents, but to the students, they said it is entertainment. It's edutainment. So you love doing gamings. So you can construct your own robo. So learn how to do robotics and how to go forward in life. So even the kids of 6th standard were interested getting into that space. So this is all education and entrepreneurship going hand in hand. So I thought, yes, it is good that I'm speaking to all academic people, because they are entrepreneurs in the thriving education entrepreneur field. Now, getting into this examples, first we have to know what is an entrepreneur, because you have too many definitions. Is entrepreneur a businessman? Is entrepreneur a self-employed person? If I'm selling saris from home, am I an entrepreneur or a self-employed person? If I'm a consultant, am I an entrepreneur or a self-employed person? All these things come into this thing. Who's an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur usually means starting and building your own successful business. Generally, they take very creative and innovative approach, and they may take risks that others would not approach. So this is an entrepreneur who will actually get into building their own business, giving employment and taking risk. Now, people with entrepreneurial skills can thrive in a business world as well as within a large organization. They're called as intrapreneurs. That is, nowadays, many universities and many companies take in cost centers and tell them, you are responsible for this department. You are supposed to make it profitable. No, so you become a small entrepreneur in a corporate world or in a complete university kind of a setup. So it's the same skill, whether you do it in the business, in the market, or in a corporate, or in a college, everything is the same skill. And what parameter you're doing is only going to differ. So now thing is that, first, if I have to become an entrepreneur, I have to be frank enough and ask few questions to myself. So if you want to become an entrepreneur, please ask these questions to yourself. First is, am I an optimistic thinker? Now, why do I need to be an optimistic thinker? This will become an asset to you later. I have to be an optimistic thinker because I am going to face a lot of problems being an entrepreneur. I'm going to face a lot of difficulties. If I'm pessimistic, or if I become sad in the first failure, I will not continue the business. So I'll have to be an optimistic thinker as so to face all these hardships. So am I optimistic is the first question that you have to ask. Then you have to ask, do you have the vision? Vision is not my kannadi eye, spectacle eyesight power. Vision is, can I think about a future in a broader canvas. Can I paint a beautiful painting as a business in a broader canvas? Not just think about it, but also convince stakeholders, convince people around me with my vision. They should also believe in me. Only if my team believes in me can I become a successful entrepreneur. So do I have the vision? That's the second point that I have to ask myself. Then I have to ask, do you have the initiative, the instinct to, basically you need all this to sort out the problems, business for business improvement, for all these things. You need to have an initiative as well as intuition. Do I have it in me? Then do I have a desire to lead? This here desire to lead is not just leadership, but I have to motivate. I have to be self-motivated to lead. Do I have that in me? Do I enjoy bringing a change, whatever size of the change may be? Do I enjoy bringing the change? You may want to bring in a change in the classroom, the way you're teaching to your students. You want to bring in a change the way you're learning new things. So do I have that in me to do that change? Do I have drive and persistence? That is, am I self-motivated? If I am a person who's looking for awards and accolades from outside world, then I will not be self-motivated. I'll be looking at, are they praising me or not? Are they saying I'm good or not? Are they clapping for me? If I think about all these things, that is external motivation. I'm taking motivation or inspiration from outside world. But to be an entrepreneur, I have to be self-motivated in the sense that if I'm feeling drained out, or if I'm feeling sad, we are human beings. So obviously we will feel drained out, we will have bad days, we will have good days, all that will happen. We will have mood swings and all. But at every point of time, I have to be self-motivated. Yes, I can do it. No, that motivation should come from within. Do I have that in me? Can I create an energy? Can I be energetic? Because the whole forum is dull, doesn't mean I have to also be dull. Can I bring in that energy into the forum? So are we prepared to do hard work for this? Can we do it for a very long time, sustain ourselves for a very long time? Then the other thing you have to ask, which is very, very important, is do we have risk tolerance? Can I take the risk? Making decisions when everything is against us, we should take the risk and take decisions. Do I have that in me? But I'm sure for women, I hope everybody's women in this forum. For women, we don't have that problem. We always take a risk. Marriage is a risk for us, correct? Getting into a new family is a risk for us. We take that. That's like taking making laddus and eating it. So risk tolerance is high in women. So we don't have to worry about that. Then do I have a resilience in the sense that if I make mistakes, if I actually face failure, can I learn from that and again rise up and go? I'm sure women can do this. We make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes love marriages become mistakes. We learn from that. Sometimes arranged marriages become mistakes. We learn from that also because we have to keep going, in life. We make a lot of mistakes. The way we talk to somebody, we may hurt them at some point of time. Then we may think, no, I hurt them. So you'll go and apologize, or you'll give them some sweet. You'll make them some special dish and give it to them, and you will make them happy. Things like that. So women have resilience. So if you look at all these things, optimistic thinker is something we have to be. If we stop watching all TV serials, we will be optimistic in life. That's for sure. And then vision. I'm sure we have a big vision because we think about what my husband should become, what my children should become, everything. We don't only think about what I should become, what we should become. But if you have that vision, you'll obviously know. If you want to build a house for yourself, you will have a vision. In 5 years' time, I will build a house. Whether by hook or by crook, you will make your husband spend that money to build a house or buy a flat. No, you'll say, I'm also working, you're also working. We can start planning EMI calculation. So we understand finance. We have the vision. Only thing is we have to translate. If you become a business woman, do I have that vision for that business? Is what you have to think. Desire to lead, everything. We know how to lead. We know how to work in team. All this there in the women. So you don't have to worry about all those qualities. We are already there. So these 5 questions you have to ask yourself before becoming an entrepreneur. This is something you have to have it in yourself. But then there are other skills that you have to develop. If you have it, great, lovely, we can clap our hands. But if you don't have it, don't worry. We can always develop them. We can always learn about them and get going. Now, let me talk about those points now. Those are basically the interpersonal skills and entrepreneurship is what we're going to talk about. We need to have interpersonal skills because we have to communicate with stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in a business? They are our own team, our employees, our customers, our suppliers, other competitors, market, government forums. There are many things. These all are stakeholders. So we will have to have a good relationship with every one of them, and we have to build that kind of a relationship. So, and the other thing is leadership and motivation, which we have covered earlier. If you don't have the leadership skill, don't worry. We can always build that leadership skill, and it is not a rocket science because inherent quality is there. Only a leader doesn't mean he has to follow ABC rule. There are different types of leaders, and each one of us will be part of one basket or the other. But all of us are leaders, that's for sure, because we lead our home. We know how we lead our home. Some will keep quiet, silently lead our home, and the men in the household will think that they are only leading the home. But still we will be getting our things done. So that's one style of leadership. The other is we will be dominant, we will be talkative, we will tell them this is what we want for our household. That's a dominant leadership. So we have different styles of leadership. Women will have at least one style for sure. Then the communication skills that we have already crossed to that. Then the listening skill. Listening is very important. I have to be active in listening in the sense that just looking at the screen is not listening, right? So whatever I'm saying now, it should go into your head. So that is active listening. Otherwise, you have signed in for this program, you have logged in into this link. That doesn't mean you're listening. So there's a difference. So am I an active listener? If I'm not an active listener, I better become an active listener. So what do I do for that is the second thing that you have to ask yourself. And you have to be an empathetic listener. If you have to be an entrepreneur, you have to understand where the other person is coming from. You can't just keep quiet, like sit like this, listen to whatever they're saying, then say, okay, I've listened to you, now you go. That should not be the case. You should keep nodding your head. You should be smiling like how Professor Pomal is doing now. No, to me, I can see her smiling. So you have to keep smiling. You have to give empathetic responses. Oh, I see. Is that how you feel? Okay, let me look into it. No, this is the kind of communication you need to have. That's how a listener should be. And you have to absorb information. When you're in the market, it is very important that you listen and absorb the information. So these are things that we have to build in interpersonal skills. And that is a personal relationship matters. Basically, people skills. You will have to lead a team. You will have to ensure that the team believes in you. And you will have to have that kind of people skills to motivate them to do it. So you have to regulate your own emotions. You may be angry at that point of time, but you can't shout at somebody else and take it out, no? That we can do, go home and do it with the pressure cooker in the kitchen. But don't do it with others, because that will actually burst on our face, the pressure. So you have to regulate your own emotions. If you're sad also, you should not show that you're sad. If you're happy, you should not show you're happy. If you're angry, you should not show you're angry, which is very, very difficult, no? Now, when you're angry, you have to show you're angry because it will be in your face. Full, I will show my anger, but I tell my team, now I'm in a very bad mood. For next 5 minutes, don't come inside the room. That's what I tell my team. So they know this 5 minutes we have to avoid madam. Otherwise, whoever goes in will get screamed at. But 5 minutes I take to bring myself down, bring that pressure down. And there are ways to control your anger. You can think about nice, beautiful things. I think about cake. I think about roses. I hear to music. In the 5 minutes, I bring my pressure down, and then I call on people and have a normal conversation. So you can take off like that, because we are not sannyasis, no? That immediately we can switch off the anger. You need some time to switch off the anger. So I do it this way. Each one will have different ways of handling your anger and your emotions. But please don't show your emotions, and you have to respond very positively to your feedback. If somebody says, ma'am, we had a very good session with you, it was very happy, now I'll be very happy. If somebody says, ma'am, you could have done this in that speech, this was not very clear, no, I should not get angry. There is a feedback, it is a criticism. Criticism is not necessarily negative. Criticism is something that for us to learn from, for us to correct. If somebody is not understanding what I'm telling, that's the feedback they're giving me. So I have to understand that feedback, learn from that, and I should take it positively. That is very important. This is what everybody calls emotional intelligence. Now, this is emotional intelligence is a business by itself. But these are simple things that happens in life. And this is what is called emotional intelligence. If you go in for an emotional intelligence course, you'll pay in double thousands. But this is what they'll tell you also. That's the only difference. Negotiation. Negotiation need not be the bargaining that we do with our vegetable vendor. No, 2 rupees, no, 5 rupees, no, 10 rupees, no, 100 rupees. That's not the only negotiation, because everybody think about negotiation is relating to price. But negotiation is also how you negotiate to resolve a difference. There is a difference of opinion. You have to be a diplomat, and how you handle the situation, how you negotiate the situation and make compromises and make the other party also to make compromise, sometimes with him knowing, without him knowing also, right? But that is also negotiation. This skill is very, very important. And this is 100% there in all women. For some, it may be dormant, just wake it up. It will wake up. Because we know how to negotiate. We know how to, when we are younger girls, we know how to convince our parents to get something out. We will behave as if we are sacrificing something big, and asking for something small, right? We will negotiate that way. I don't want this month, but can you get me this next month? This is lower price than that, But actually, you want only what you asked for. But you will always build a different picture to your parents and convince them and get it. You know how to do it. Similarly, even at home, you know how to negotiate with your in-laws. You know how to negotiate with relations. With students, you know how to negotiate. You finish this assignment, I will give you this reward. Or you can take off for the next week if this is all completed. Now you negotiate. These are all the skills of negotiation, and I'm sure all women have it. It's just that I cannot miss it, so I'm talking about this point. But it's very, very important in entrepreneur. If you are going to inspire your students, you have to tell them all these points. You have to tell them you be good in negotiation. And ethics. Can you lead ethically? This is very important. Now, a lot of shortcuts are there in life. It's easy to take shortcuts. But later on, when you fall down, that is the biggest accident that will happen to you. Or biggest, not an accident, it's going to happen to you. That will be the biggest problem. So try to be ethical as much as ethical. If you are ethical, the person who's opposite you also be ethical. So that much more, all the things become easier that way. Then there's something, this is all we're talking about interpersonal skills, right? Now we are talking about creativity and creative thinking and critical thinking. This is very important in a business because that is where your problem solving comes in. There are a lot of tools available. Even if you don't have that skill inherently with you, don't worry. There are too many things that are available. For creative thinking, what you have to do is, you will have to see if you can see the situation in different angles. That is very important. Or what we say is, can you wear somebody else's shoes and experience it? Or there's another thing we say, wear different hats and think about it. So first is, you have to creatively think. Sometimes there will be a problem situation where you have to creatively think in all angles and solve it. Sometimes you have to think about what could be the problem that's going to come up if you take this decision. And how do I solve that? Now, this is all out of the box creative thinking. Or somebody calls it in a very strong marketing jargon, this is planning, this is strategic planning. But simple thing is thinking. So what we do is, we have to think ourselves in the same situation in different angles. And you have to get a perspective. And there are many tools available. If you go to Google, you will find things like reframing matrix, how to make negative questions to positive questions. There are are many techniques and there are many tools. Now, I don't want to waste your afternoon talking about these things, because that's surely a lullaby. Everybody will go off to sleep. I hope still people are awake, no? Yeah, okay. I can hear a silent yes, ma'am, from
Yes.
Ramya. So I assume that everybody is. Okay. So that is, there are many techniques that are available. Then is problem solving. Problem solving is strategies. That's what everybody talks about. There are, you have to do a cause and effect. If I do this, what will be the effect of it? Or you ask 5 why questions. If I do this, what will happen? Why this? Why not this? All the why questions you ask. So these are all techniques that you will find. Go to Google. Don't go to an education. Sorry, you're all in education, but don't go and spend thousands of money on this. Google gives you a questionnaire itself. You fill in the questionnaire. You understand whether you understood this or not. Simple things. And then recognizing opportunity. That is very important. If you have to be an entrepreneur, or if you want to be in a university, you want to be an entrepreneur within the university, you will have to spot a trend. What is the trend now? What can I do now? Is there an opportunity at this point of time? So that you have to understand. So then you will come to practical entrepreneurial skills. These are all goal settings. Now, goal setting is, everybody talks about, I have this resolution for this year. I don't believe in resolutions. Resolutions, that too January resolutions, I don't believe at all, because none of us keep it after Jan 15th. So Jan 1st to Jan 15th, you have the resolution and you work on it. After that, it doesn't work. So let's not follow all that. Simple thing is, can I do a good goal setting? For entrepreneur or non-entrepreneur, goal setting is very important. There's something called SMART. We call it SMART goal setting. Now, SMART goal setting doesn't mean I have to be beautiful, I have to wear makeup and come and all. Now, SMART is S. It's an acronym. S stands for specific. Basically, you do a specific goal setting. You have to be precise. What I want to do, you spell it out. Then M is measurable. It has to be measurable. Whether I have done it properly or not, you must be able to measure it. So that kind of goal setting you should do. You should not say, I have to be emotionally happy. Now that is not a goal setting. How will you measure it? Can you say how many times you've been happy? You cannot, right? That is not measurable. That's not a tangible thing. So if I have to measure, what do I have to say? I have to achieve so many thousands or so many crores in a year. Now that is measurable. I have to buy 10 saris in a year. That is measurable. I have to make my husband spend for 2 earrings in a year. That is measurable. I cannot say I want to make my husband spend. Spend on what? So we have to be specific. And A is achievable. Can I achieve it? Don't set targets. Everybody says, no, think of the sky, blue sky, no, endless opportunities, have goals like that. That's not going to work out, because every time you're going to fall short of. You need to say, if I put a ladder, I can go up to the first floor. So for first year, I will go to the first floor. Second year, I will go to second floor. Third year, I have gained experience. So I can do it faster. So I will go to the fifth floor. So try to keep things that are achievable. But don't under-target yourself. But set targets that looks closer to you. Don't set the target in the sky. Set the target in the building height. So you will reach it. R is being relevant. You be relevant to the market at that point of time. I cannot go and sell ice when in Iceland, right? But that's what people used to think. I cannot go and sell water, is available everywhere. But now we are only drinking bottled water. Now we are also buying oxygen. But after some years, I think after a few years with global warming and all, we will be able to go and sell ice in Iceland. So ice in Iceland will be relevant at that point of time, but currently it is not relevant. I cannot sell ice in Iceland. So you will have to be clear, what are we relevant to the market? Do the customer need it? Don't go and say, I will create a market. That's too much of cumbersome activity. Is there an opportunity that the customers have not seen, the competition has not seen, but I have seen it? Then yes, go for it. Then T in SMART is time bound. Always have time, always have target dates. Not just for entrepreneurship. What I always tell is that when I talk to my team also, I said, please have a weekly target and everyday target. The target can be, I have to finish this particular assignment by this time. On this date, I have to finish. No, always be specific. Have a date target. Even if it's going to a market, say, I will go to market on Friday. So that Friday evenings you keep only for market and nothing else. Or I will go to temple on Friday. Or I will watch movies or do all the seasons binging in OTT on Saturday nights only, so that I can get up late in the Sunday morning and give everybody bread at home. Keep specific dates, keep specific timelines. I have to prepare for this 5-day session. I have to arrange for things. So on this particular date, we have to finish compiling who are going to be the speakers. In this particular date, I have to get the profile of all the speakers. Now, this is what your organizing is doing, right? So do that in every space of your business, and not just business, in everyday life also. So this is a SMART goal setting, not just for business, but for your life. Whatever I tell you will be related to life also. So since the topic is entrepreneurship, I go back to business, but take it for your life, right? Then you have to have a planning and organizing skill that women already have it, but for business you have to know. For business you have to have project management skills, organization skills, business plan, how to make a business plan with financial forecast. These all sounds very big, but they are very simple. It is like doing budget for your home. Similarly, you do for the business. But of course, we may not be exposed to that, but we always have mentors. Mentors are very important in our life. Whether for personal life or for business life, mentors are very important. And if you have a damn good mentor, they will support you and they will guide you in all these things. You don't have to worry about it. Decision making. Decision making can be based on business knowledge that you've gained, entrepreneur knowledge that you have gained, or opportunity that has been given to you, and a particular venture you want to be specific or not, that decision you can take. So this decision making is also very important. But once you take a decision, don't regret it. I could have done that in that business. I could have done that in my life. Don't regret it. Because always an opportunity is given. A door will be there, double windows will be there, and a roof will be open. You can take any path. But don't regret that I should have taken the other path after going 100 miles in one path. Maybe this is your route. This is because I'm spiritual, so I'm connecting this to spiritual activity. Many may not be spiritual, but this is what I feel is, okay, divine power says I have to take this route. That's why I've taken this route. Okay, if I failed in it and I have to retrace my step, don't regret. Say this is a failure, I have learned from it. If you've not failed but you've not got the success that you wanted, think that, okay, there's something missing in me. I will continue in the same route, but I will develop those skills and I will ensure that my success is full. There are different ways to look at it. Never ever regret a decision, because once you start regretting, you will start becoming self-pitying yourself. A self-pity in a business is the biggest failure. You will never be able to get up. So never do that. The same thing happens to your life also. Please don't self-pity, because life is too short. Life is to enjoy. And when you're here enjoying, you want to give something back to society and you want to inspire people. You want to leave. After you leave, you want to leave good things. So work towards it. Don't, you don't have to take everything very seriously that you end up with a brain tumor or something like that. Let us use a brain, but not to the extent where the tumor eats you up, right? Sorry for saying this, but many people, because of stress, it leads to that. So that is the reason why I'm specifying it again and again. Even in my last session, I had spoken about these things. So always for goal setting, this planning, organization, decision making process in an entrepreneurship sphere, please take a mentor. A mentor will always guide you. You can be a mentor to many students also from your organization skills and things like that. So you keep mentoring, your mentor will automatically come to you, right? So there are many mentors, even big, even including Ratan Tata. He's a mentor to many entrepreneurs, all young entrepreneurs. Even here in Murugappa group, sometimes I go in and check up with the Mr. Murugappa that, sir, can I spend some time with you? And if he has the time, he'll spend, and I will just talk about problems in the business, and he will give suggestions. You know, this is mentoring. Basically, he's slightly pushing you or guiding you. They will not say, write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and go to 1, 2, 3, 4. They will say, why don't you look at alphabets instead of looking at numericals? You will get a solution. That's the kind of guidance they will give, and we will have to learn from the mentor and go ahead. Even you in your education field, when you want to go up up the ladder, or you want to build capacity, please take mentors. Please discuss with seniors who have done that already. Now, I've spoken broadly about all entrepreneurship, what an entrepreneur requires. This is for men, women, children, because even children are becoming entrepreneurs at this point of time. Even a 9-year-old is an entrepreneur in the US who's built a software and things like that, right? So there's no age limit for entrepreneur. So anybody with all these skills or developed skills like this can become an entrepreneur, can become a successful entrepreneur. But what is it for a women entrepreneur? That's the topic I've been given. So I have to talk about women, and I love talking about women, right? Because I feel that we are all Shakti and we have the power, and we have to recognize the power ourselves for others to recognize you. Don't be a feminist, but don't take in everything. We are not. I'm slightly digressing from the subject, but we are not dustbins to take in everything, right? But don't be dominating also. Be listening. You will have to have that kind of a balance. You are after all a human being, right? And don't be dominating. At the same time, don't be too submissive. You don't have to fight out everything, but you can tell what you feel. You don't have to be scared of telling what you feel, even if it's to your boss, even if it's to the students. No, you can learn a lot from the students also, and that would nowadays they are more exposed to the world than us, with all these internet and what all Instagrams and things like that. They will be talking about us in the Instagram, so we'll have to be cool and trendy like them. Otherwise, they will say, "Adu pazhaya pustakam pa," old book. They will not learn all these things. But I see a lot of teachers for my children's school. First 1 month they struggled last year for online education. Now they know what to do in the online education. They find out which student is doing what in the online classes. They have developed so much. I know a couple of teachers, call up my son and discuss with him, because my son is supposed to be a very obedient student in school, not at home. In school, he's a very obedient student, and teachers like him. So they call him up and they used to ask him, Raja, what do I do for this? What can I do for this? And he will discuss with teachers and all. He will not teach me, but to the teachers, he will teach everything. And so that is the kind of interaction you need to have with the teachers and the students. If you don't know something, even if it's a student, you can learn from them. And now I see all teachers in the school, they are well equipped to do online classes. Even if you say 2 years, 3 years, you have to continue like this, they'll continue. And they'll get the results from the students also, because they're also learned, they're also adapted at this age, which is actually very miraculous. And most of them are women teachers who are not supposed to be tech savvy, So that's very, very good. Entrepreneurs and women go hand in hand. And for a women entrepreneur, what we face currently is that, yes, we know that we are torchbearers. We know we are strong. We know our strengths. We know our weaknesses. We know completely. We have done a SWOT analysis about ourselves. If you have not done now, please do it. And we are actually emotionally strong. We are good multitaskers. That everybody knows we are good multitaskers. And then we are quick very quick to build rapport. We quickly build relationships, because once you move from your parents' family to a new family, we don't take too much time to adapt ourselves. We quickly build relationships. We know whom to be friendly with, we know whom to have a distance and things like that. But look at your husband. He would have taken longer time to get adjust with the in-laws house. So women have that skill, which is very important in an entrepreneur. And we also look at human in all angles. To our maid, we will shout at the maid if she doesn't come on time, and we will shout and we will scream at her first. For 5 minutes, we'll be screaming. Then she will say, Lamma, some problem in the family. That then we'll become empathetic to it. Oh, that way, yeah, okay, take care, and we'll start giving her advice. So we are quick to understand their problems. We are quick to tackle them. Right? Next time we will say, okay, if you're going to come late, just give me a call so I can be prepared that you are late. Right? So we know how to handle situations. So you know how to be a good leader. You know how to handle team. So entrepreneurship is, you have to know how to do a business planning to get bank loan, and how to take the business forward. But you can't be too emotional when you are an entrepreneur, because then people will take you for a ride. You can't be too soft. You can look at all angles, but you should take the decision, and you should take the decision very strictly. You can laugh and talk to everybody. You can listen. You can do everything, but don't be a soft entrepreneur. Be an assertive one, whether you're a leader or an entrepreneur or education faculty. Be empathetic, be all these things that I was talking to you about. Only thing is, but finally you take a decision, and you be strong in that decision. Don't regret your decisions. The main problems we face is that we have an issue of finance. The sense that when we go to bank loan, what we have is a problem. The bankers, when you go alone, the bankers don't see you in good light. They don't want to take the risk with you for giving the loan to you for business. But if you go with somebody else, say a father figure or a husband figure or somebody like that, they are more sympathetic to your loan sanctioning. We are in a patriarchal society. We can't change this overnight. Though we had Dravidian ladies, during the Chola kingdom and the Pallava kingdom and all, where the princes knew better how to handle a kingdom, but they were never made the queens, the kings basically. But they will be an advisor, that position. We are in a patriarchal society. We cannot change that. But it's okay. Let them be like that, But we can get our ways done in other ways. So the thing is that finance could be a problem, but the government is giving a lot of mudra loans and other kind of loans for women. Now the banks have to give certain percentage to women entrepreneurs. It's a must by the government at this point of time. So you don't have that kind of a problem that much now. The other thing is, you have these, I'm coming from manufacturing industry, so let me take an example of this. We have a lot of these exhibitions that happens across the world, and we may not have the finance to go for it. But for women, the government offers 90% subsidy. The sense that I have to pay only 10% of the whole thing. The exhibition stall fees is taken care of by the government. Our traveling in flight is taken care of by them. Our staying there in Russia or China or America, when you go for these exhibitions, are taken care of by them. This is applicable only for women, no? Even for men, you only get certain percentage off or reimbursement for men entrepreneur or manufacturers. But for women, even if you are a handicraft businesswoman, or you have a factory and you're running a machinery, or you are into textile fabric designing, be it any kind of entrepreneur, if you're an MSME registered person, you get all these things. The government is giving you. So you don't have to worry about finance so much at this point of time. So you're in a good space. then you obviously you have a stiff competition where they don't consider women as important. So big deal. Even we will not consider them. Okay. So stiff competition, you have to be able to compete with the men. When you go for a bid or when you go for a tender or when you go to a government office, there will be other men competing for the same things, same business. You will have to ensure how you can tackle that. That is what you build in yourself. Limited mobility. Most of us cannot take a car and go anywhere that we want to for a meeting. Or when we travel for a business meeting, if we have to go and get into a hotel by ourselves, 5-star hotels don't have a problem, but every time we cannot spend in 5-star hotels. So when you go to a normal hotel, it is kind of a problem for women, in the sense that it is not that people won't say, I won't give you a room, but people will start speculating who you are, why are you traveling alone, and all these things. That happens, but that's okay with us, right? Till you have your family supporting, you don't have to worry about the society. The family will take care of all that. So family ties is also a prohibition for us. It's a women problem, If I have to take a decision of traveling for my business, I will have to find out if my husband is free to take care of my children. Even now, even after becoming a successful entrepreneur, it is there. And you are a woman in US, you may say that I have 50% responsibility, you have 50% responsibility, but in India, it is not so. And even our mindset will not allow, right? When I'm talking to in this session, my daughter has an appointment with the doctor at 3:30. And I before joining the session, I sent an SMS to my husband, message to my husband. Don't forget, I'll be in a session. I can't message you at that point of time. Without fail, please do take her at 3:30. Even as I'm talking, I sent a repeat message to him. This is our mindset. We can't help it. So even if I'm doing a session, I'm doing that to my husband. Poor guy sitting there, But the thing is that we have that mentality, so we can't leave family ties. We can't leave our family entirely and get into business. But we should know how to balance it. Since we are multitaskers, we should know how to handle it. Sometimes you should make your children independent, but you should know what your children are doing also. Independent means they can do anything, means then you're giving a full canvas free for them. You give the canvas free, they should think the canvas is free, but you should have checkpoints, So all that is there. These are prohibitions which a male who becomes an entrepreneur does not face, but we face it. So that we have to take care. Then lack of education. In an education forum, I'm telling you this, there will be 3 times or 4 times more men in your own faculty or in your own space of academic thing. Not many women become professors. Not many women go up the ladder. Not many women are doing PhDs compared to men. Now that is a problem. When it is a problem in the education world, imagine the problem for people who have not even passed 10 standard. Women who have not passed 10 standard, but who are doing a business in their own sphere. So lack of education, all women are not educated. We are some of the lucky ones who are educated and who are also educating people. But there are people who will not be able to afford education. So at a very young age, they are dropouts, or societal pressure in rural area does not allow a girl to go to school. But there are people who become successful entrepreneurs even in that kind of a situation. So lack of education is there, but we as academic people can do a little bit of social service. We can teach, we can actually adopt a village, do some kind of a teaching, that you guys can work out like a CSR mission, our corporate does. You can also give, impart more knowledge to people who don't have access to education. Then this lack of education will slowly vanish. Then we are in a male-dominated society, so that we know that. And we have a low risk bearing. Though we take the risk of getting married into a family which we don't know, when it comes to business, we, as well as our family, is not ready to take that kind of a financial risk. Now, this is in the mindset. I am a businesswoman, but I am a conservative businesswoman in the sense that I measure the risk that I take. When it comes to financial risk, I measure the risk that I have to take. the men don't measure so much. This could be positive, this could be negative. There is a reason they're saying that the women entrepreneur don't go up the ladder like the men entrepreneur. These are some of the things they talk about. Yes, these are there, but I am myself a woman who does not, who measures the risk. So I will not be telling you, forget, take all the risk. But actually the book says take risk, right? If you have to become a successful entrepreneur, if you have to scale up yourself, take the risk. My personal opinion is, yes, take the risk, but measure and take the risk. Take the risk only that you can see, that you can envision, that you can think about in the future. If I take this risk, what is going to happen? If you can think about all that, take risk to that extent. That is my point of view, while the book says take risk. To me, take measurable risk is what I will tell you. Because even in marriage, we take measurable risk. The sense that we are getting married in an arranged marriage, we are taking a measurable risk because your parents are asking us to marry that family, into that family. So you know that if there's a problem, the parents will come and take care of it. So that is the measurable risk that I'm talking about. Similarly, in business, my point of view is please take measurable risk. Don't take a risk that you can't handle in the future, and it becomes a financial burden. Because if one women entrepreneur fails, then there are 10 more who cannot become an entrepreneur. Women cannot become an entrepreneur. If one man fails, it doesn't affect the men's society. If one woman fails, they'll say, look at her, she took the risk, she became an entrepreneur, she failed. So why should you do it? Go to a job. You're getting salary every month. Be happy. We can easily pay the EMI. This is typical mindset. I wouldn't say it is wrong. That is the reason why I say take calculated measures, because your failure is going to stop many more women coming into business. So that is the reason why I'm telling you that. Now, when you talk about women entrepreneurs, in a session, I'm supposed to give examples. So let me just give you few examples. There is this, first woman entrepreneur of India is, as per the record, there are many entrepreneurs, some 2000 years back that has happened, but we don't have that in the record. But as per our Indian record, a first woman entrepreneur is Kalpana Saroj. She's from Maharashtra. She's a Dalit woman who got into child marriage and then became an entrepreneur. So it's a story of slumdog to millionaire, how she became, and what is her case study and all these things. If you type in Kalpana Saroj, you will get her in the Google. So I will not waste my time explaining what she did. But her journey is just like a movie. Underdog achieving something is exactly like how we watch our Tamil or Telugu or Hindi movies. They is typically exactly like that. And you can go and read about her. So she's there. Then you have the biggies in the men's world where everybody knows about them. So even there you can go and Google them. I will just give you some names. You have Vandana Luthra, founder of VLCC. You have Kiran Mazumdar Shah, founder of Biocon. You have Priya Paul, chairperson of Park Hotel, APJ Group. You have Ritu Kumar, fashion designer. You have Suchi Mukherjee, who's founder of LimeRoad. You have Aditi Gupta, co-founder of Menstrupedia. You have Falguni, who's founder of Nykaa. If you are too much into YouTube, you will find every 5 seconds Nykaa advertisement coming in the YouTube channel. Then you have Vani Kola, who's a venture capitalist. Then you have Radha, who's into shopclues.com co-founder. And you have Sri Lakshmi, who is the youngest entrepreneur in India at age of 21. She started becoming an entrepreneur at the age of, when she was studying in school, she made websites and things for her school itself. So she is the youngest entrepreneur. All these people, if you go and type in Google 10 top women entrepreneur and in the Google, you will get all of them. You will get a complete history about them. But before I wind up, I would like to give you examples of two people who actually inspired me. It's a very small scale entrepreneurship, but I loved reading about them. This has happened during the COVID lockdown. I'm just going to give this example and wrap up, and you can be ready with your questions, right? I hope all of you are still awake. Yeah, I can hear Ramya silent yes ma'am again. So these two women actually inspired me. So this I'm going to talk about as examples. The rest of the examples you can easily go and read in the Google. Now in Maharashtra, there is this lady called Savita Dishe. I don't know, many these small scale entrepreneurs come from Maharashtra, maybe because Bombay is such a place that, to survive, you have to become an entrepreneur. I think so. I'm not so sure. But everybody whom I read about is the first entrepreneur woman. I'm talking about Kalpana Saroj. She's also from Maharashtra. Now, this lady is Savita Dishe. She used to sell brooms in the weekly market. She used to go and sell brooms. It used to be her way of earning money for her family. Then COVID happened. Then lockdown happened. Now, where will she go and sell? She didn't have any kind of income at all. And when the COVID and the lockdown happened, the first lockdown pushed a lot of these people back to their village because they were scared to stay in the city for food and things like that. You've read so many news about people walking back to their village, people cycling back to their village and things like that. So she also went back to her village. During this reverse migration, she became an entrepreneur. Now that's the best story. She had leveraged WhatsApp as a marketing tool. See, technology helping her. She made WhatsApp as a marketing tool, and she advertised the best Mumbai style vada pav in the village and the neighboring villages. Vada pav is easiest to make and easy to get the raw materials for vada pav, and the simplest food that you can have at a low price. So during COVID, when you cannot spend money on chawal and dal and things like that, people will go in for these kind of snack items as food, mainly the bachelors. So in the village and neighboring village, she advertised in WhatsApp, and she started selling vada pav through WhatsApp. And she started to earn more than what she used to earn earlier by selling brooms. Then she went ahead and obtained a license from food authorities for that, FSSAI license. So this is what a good entrepreneur will do. No, she got the license and she swiftly accelerated her business. And she adopted, and during this pandemic situation, and what usually used to be a physical selling vada pav stall became an online stall for her. And she sold, and she started earning in lakhs, maybe 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs, but that is a big money for her. And she doesn't spend so much on raw material. And WhatsApp is only the phone and the internet cost for her. She's making money sitting in her rural village. And she became an entrepreneur by registering herself and employing people to sell in different villages, like a franchisee forum. This happened during the COVID situation. So now that's what I call as person who can look at opportunities and do things, whether small scale or big scale. And now I'll give you an example of a woman who made slightly bigger scale than this, because the biggest scale you will anyway get in the news. So I'm not even talking about all of them, right? The slightly bigger scale is this person from Satara. Her name is Rupali. She was a micro entrepreneur. Micro entrepreneur means doing business in thousands or sub lakh, no, less than 1 lakh of rupee. So they are micro entrepreneurs. So what she used to do earlier before COVID is she used to stitch uniforms in Satara. Satara is a small town. She used to do uniforms stitching in Satara for the schools there. Now there's no school. So why will somebody stitch uniform with her? And she had the fabric for uniform with her, because the COVID happened in the month of March. That is when you buy the fabrics so that you get ready for the April stitching and giving to kids, right? So she had a lot of fabrics. So she didn't get dejected. She didn't feel sad. She didn't regret the decision of having the fabrics. What did she do? She completely moved the business from uniform to mask making. She started producing masks. She started tailoring masks. Mask is something everybody were wearing, and fabric mask is washable mask, right? It is not that you throw away the mask after use. You can wash and use. And in rural area, people will not throw away anything, right? So fabric mask. In small towns, people will not throw away because they understand the importance of money. Whatever hygiene happens, you can clean the cotton mask and keep it. So not just that, she used the technology to train virtual training to other ladies in the nearby towns to stitch mask because she has so much of fabric, right? So then she distributed the fabrics in different places, virtually trained the women to stitch mask. Then they started selling that mask in every place. So she also made money. So what she did was, based on the opportunity, she shifted her focus to a different product. Many people did that. Big businesses in Tirupur who had to shut down in textile business, they immediately shifted to mask and PPE kit. Okay, there are big business organizations, they will do it. They will think like that and do. But I am so happy that women entrepreneur in a smaller town and rural area were able to do this. When they can do it, why can't people who are educated like us do it? So either we become entrepreneurs, or we have to inspire others to become entrepreneurs, or you have to be a guide and mentor and help people in rural area, women, to become entrepreneurs. So that is what is very, very important. You have to give back to society. More and more entrepreneurs develop, no? That is when India will develop by itself, because there'll be so many people giving jobs. So there'll be so many youth who will get job also. You don't have to travel to US and Australia and New Zealand and Dubai and Qatar to earn, then come back during pandemic situation without jobs, right? You have to become self-sustained, and that's what our honorable prime minister keeps saying on Atmanirbhar. If we have to be Atmanirbhar, we need to have more entrepreneurs. You have to have more women coming into it. Women entrepreneurs are the need of the hour. Even our honorable prime minister keeps saying that are the need of the hour in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, because we ensure innovation, we ensure advancement of economy. We look at not just the profit, we look at the human being part of it. So women can uplift the society, uplift Indian economy if we have more women entrepreneurs. So inspire everybody. If people can become entrepreneur, become entrepreneur. If you can inspire, please inspire people to become entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was so informative, and people were enjoying. I know. Yeah, okay. We'll go for the question answer session. I think Mala Roy, she was from long back. She raised her hand, ma'am. Mala Roy, you can. I think you can unmute yourself. Maybe let me try. Yeah. Mala Roy, yeah, you can unmute. Yeah.
Please. Yes. Good afternoon, ma'am, everybody. I am from BDM International, Kolkata. Okay, actually, my son is in class 11 this year. So he has also, he is a commerce student and he has taken up entrepreneurship. And there I only teach him. Actually, myself, I am an economics student. There I found that when ma'am was talking about entrepreneurship, so I wanted to speak something that I was teaching my son that day about a lady called Leela Bordia. She is a creator of that Jaipur blue pottery.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
She has done, say, a business of, say, worth 25 crores.
Correct.
Yes, and it is said that she single-handedly brought prosperity among the villagers around Jaipur. And
yeah, she got the craft and the women people together, and she's done a splendid job. Yes, she has done a splendid job.
So I wanted to share this thing when you were talking about the ladies in Maharashtra. So that day when I was teaching my son, I was talking to him. So I thought that this is the best platform where I could also share my idea. That's the thing, ma'am. And she was inspired by her mother and Mother Teresa herself.
Yes, yes. In fact, you in Bengal, you have a lot of women
Yes, ma'am.
who are very educated, even in those days and even now, very educated, and who can do a lot more in terms of entrepreneurship. Because Bengali women, I find them very beautiful first, and other is they're like rasagullas, very soft, and they are quite learned and cultured people. So you can inspire a lot of rural women around you, not just your son, but rural women around you, and you can bring in a lot of change
Yes.
in your state also. Like Jaipur, you have a lot of handicraft things in West Bengal and Odisha.
Yes.
Those two states always fascinate me,
Yes, ma'am.
And I've spent about 5 years in Kolkata, so I know.
I was born and brought up in Odisha. That is Rourkela. My father
Yeah.
was he used to work in Rourkela steel plant. So
Ah.
I know everything. I can speak. Though I'm a Bengali, I can speak and write Odia. Their culture is very rich.
Yeah, that is the reason I'm saying. See, India has a lot of rich culture from different regions. And women are the best to bring out these cultures because we are more empathetic to culture than the men in the world. So, and personally, I think India's selling point is culture. You know, Bollywood has become a culture for India in the outside face. I'm not feeling bad about it, but I'm saying that more than Bollywood, we have so much in India, and not just as culture, but as handicrafts, and that is very, very typical of Indian things that we make. Yeah, so like toy industry and palm and jute and things like that. What better? You academic people should inspire women around you. Make a forum. There are clusters which the government is allowing. A lot of clusters. They give a lot of financial assistance also to women clusters to do these things. So please inspire people around you to make them become entrepreneurs.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mala, ma'am.
Thank you so
for
much.
sharing your experience. Yeah, next, Pumadi, ma'am. She was also waiting. Yeah, you can unmute yourself and ask if you want.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for a wonderful session. How could we make inclusive of men to encourage women entrepreneurship? Even their contribution, yes.
See, women entrepreneur, as I said, we are in a men's society. We cannot do it alone, right?
Yeah.
We need the men to be part of it at any point of time, even to get loans is what I said earlier. So men are by default inclusive in our thing. But if you're talking about how to make men in my family understand to allow me to become entrepreneur, then you will have to convince them. You have to sit and talk about your plans. You may be very futuristic, well, they may not be thinking so much of the futuristic plan, no. So as I said, you will have to be able to convince them about your vision. You start selling your vision from home to the bank. So that is very important. There are many men. See, I am in a MSME forum where it is all office bearers are mostly men. Where MSME stands for your micro, small, middle enterprises, manufacturing units. And since Atmanirbhar has come in, the MSME has become even more active. We try to help each other. We try to bring the micro. We try to bring rural people, Gram Shilpis. We try to get them government aid and things like that. As I see, when you look at rural development and those kind of things, more women are coming in. And more men are starting the business in the women's name. One thing is mainly because the women are ready to take up the responsibility. The other thing, very fairly said, the government is giving so much to women as subsidies and loans and things like that at this point of time. So it's better to start the micro unit or company in wife's name than in self name. So that is also there. But practical, it is okay. I'm not saying they're wrong. It's good. They're making use of it. No, you're opportunistic. We are all human beings. We are not devatas. No, even Indra does mistakes. No, being devata. So the thing is that let us be practical. Yes, women, in the name of women, men are starting, but you ensure that you become not just in paper, but you're also contributing, you're also working, you're leading that business. That is very important. And rural women, though, they are really so passionate, and they are so hardworking that I have come across many of them like that. And in cities, for entrepreneurs in the tech field, when you take edutech, like the education system and technology wrapped up together, that kind of entrepreneurs are many women, and most of them are co-founders because either their life partner or their friends from college are the other co-founders. So there is inclusive men. I can never say that we have all stood by ourselves, we are self-made women. That is not happening. You either have a father backup, or a brother, or a friend, or a husband, or an in-law, or something like that. For example, my father-in-law's business is what I'm looking after at this point of time. No, he's the founder of the company, and his sons, that's my husband and my co-brother, they've become software engineers. They refuse to come to manufacturing. So I quit my multinational company job and I joined the family business because somebody had to look out for it, because he has built it and with such passion, right? Now there is women in my life, men in my life. My father-in-law is a man. He's accepted his daughter-in-law to come into business after him, while his sons have not come in. My husband has allowed me to do anything that I want to do in business. He doesn't say, no, you cannot do that, you cannot do this. It is after all my father's business. He doesn't say that. So it's how you sell your vision. Somewhere you have to be assertive, somewhere you have to be like a weed, bending. But men is inclusive. Without men, we are not doing anything. And men also, without women, they're not doing anything. So inclusiveness is there. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for that, giving that well explained.
Only two of them have questions, then the rest of them slept.
Yeah, I know many. So many chat messages are there. Please, Ramya, earlier when she was talking, in between messages came.
Yes, ma'am. There's
any
yes,
question is there?
Ma'am, there's one question from Trupati Mishra. How can women working as teachers think of shifting to being an entrepreneur? Please suggest.
You have in the education field, you have many things now. Please read about all these edupreneurs. Edupreneurs is education plus entrepreneur that I talked about. Read about them. Read about a lot of these edutainment. Like I talked about SP Robotics. Read about a lot of the edutainment companies, how they're coming up, because there's current market has a lot of opportunities for education people to move into business, because using help of technology, a lot more. In fact, the most lucrative business is education. So you have to know what your strength is, what you want to do. You have to see. Please read a lot of books on them, what have they done. Go and chat up with a lot of these young entrepreneurs who from the education field. And see, Byju's, Mr. Ravindran is one of the educationists. He's moved, and Byju's has become such a huge enterprise with so many investors investing in it. It is all about, he started off concept learning over online concept learning well before this technology was accepted by many, but the kids were very quick in adapting it. So the education field is one thing that is very quick in adapting to technology. So you will have to know what your strength is, what your skill is. Please don't go in for I'm going to start a coaching center online. That will not help, because you have too many coaching centers in and around you. So when you're thinking about a business, please think that what unique you can give. There are many NEET centers, right? There are many NEET coaching centers. There are many IAS centers. All of them are tuition centers basically, and they're like self-employment only, right? You from becoming a salaried person, you are getting into a self-employment kind of a picture. When you want to become an entrepreneur and you want to give many people employment, then slightly think bigger, slightly think differently. What is your strength? Team up with a couple of people. Don't do it alone. That will be my recommendation. When you start, please don't do it alone, because you will need different skill sets. So you can join together. There's nothing wrong in joining together, because a lot of teamwork and team founding is. See, Infosys itself is was actually is not just one Narayana Murthy, right? It's a team which founded Infosys. Now it's become a big company. Similarly, when you don't have family business that has been given to you and you're starting something of your own, look at team, look at people of like-minded people who are with you, look at your skill set, look at the other skill set, read through what is happening. There are many, if it is a education plus there are many venture capitalists who are ready to put money behind you. The governments put a lot of money behind manufacturing and handicrafts and things like that. The venture capitalists who actually spend who invest money in these kind of scenarios, right? So, and there are banks who have to give women entrepreneur so much percentage of loan in a year. They have to give. That is the kind of norms the government has given them. So there are people around you, but first is never ever get into a field without thinking. Think, do a lot of research, find if you can join hands with somebody, and find if somebody can become a mentor to you. Can you go and work in some place that you want that business to become your business, that kind of a business? Go and do some learning ropes. It's practical research that you do. This is my point of view. Point of views keep differing. My point of view is this: as I said, no, calculated risk, measured risk. So do all these things, then take a decision. After taking a decision, don't regret it, and go ahead. This is my simple advice.
Yeah, so many, everyone has listened to you and they were excited when you were actually presenting. I think you have covered every point. They don't want to ask any questions.
Sure.
Yeah, everyone has. Yeah, we will share all the comments, ma'am. A lot of comments while you were talking, whenever you were talking about some points. And few points I wanted to tell you as you were talking about school teachers in this forum. Now, last time we didn't have much of school teachers, but this time we have a lot of teachers joining in this session.
Very nice. I
Good
love teachers because you are the ones who are molding our children. You know, I have learned a lot from my teachers. I have always been a favorite to my teachers, and I always speak very frankly with my teachers. So I love teachers, and I love the interactions that we have with teachers. Not like, you know, scared interaction, but good discussions that we have with teachers.
Ramya?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, Pratibha ma'am.
Ma'am, very good afternoon to you. Ma'am, I want to share my one experience. I am an assistant professor in home science. So always we are giving a practical knowledge, practical oriented knowledge to the students. So what can I do? Whenever I give any demonstration, so can I speak in Hindi? More effective to understand.
हाँ, कोई बात नहीं, आप हिंदी में बात कीजिए, मुझे हिंदी मालूम है. I can answer you in Hindi too.
जो भी हम प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज स्टूडेंट को देते हैं, तो वो सब मुझे सोसाइटी के लिए कैसे उनको यूज करना है वो हम पहले बताते हैं. मेनी वर्कशॉप्स आई टेक फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स, एंड उसके बाद वो मेरे स्टूडेंट्स है वो सब नॉलेज जाके गांव में देते हैं. और बेसिकली आई एम NSS कोऑर्डिनेटर, सो दैट्स व्हाई महिला मंडल की जो औरतें होती है उनको हम चुनते हैं और उनको ट्रेनिंग देते हैं थ्रू माय स्टूडेंट. तो मैं स्टूडेंट वर्कशॉप के थ्रू या खुद मैं भी गिव ट्रेनिंग टू द महिला मंडल वीमेंस. और पिछले बार का एक मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है कि लॉकडाउन में जब मार्च इन बिटवीन द मंथ ऑफ मार्च एक मैंने महिला मंडल के लिए वर्कशॉप लिया मैंने खुद ने लिया कि हाउ टू ये अपना सोप, लिक्विड सोप कैसे बनाना है. ओनली 7 वीमेंस आर देयर, महिला मंडल. तो उन लोगों ने वो सिर्फ एक दिन में वो सब चीजें सीख ली और उन्होंने खुद का वो बिजनेस शुरू किया. तो मतलब मुझे ये कहना था कि वही, और ये हम ग्रामीण, जैसे आप लोग बोल रहे थे कि मेन मोर ऑफ द विमेन्स आर एंटरप्रेन्योर कम्स फ्रॉम द महाराष्ट्र. सो दिस इज द माय एक्सपीरियंस. नॉट आई एम नॉट ओनली एजुकेटर. तो मैं स्टूडेंट को एजुकेट करके प्रैक्टिकली उनको सोसाइटी में वो सब चीजें कैसे देनी है और महिलाओं को भी कैसे एंटरप्रेन्योर बनाना है, इन सब चीजों के लिए हम काम करते हैं. नॉट ओनली मी, so my colleagues also doing the same job.
Very good, Pratibha ji. Actually very happy to hear this. Pratibha ji, आप और ज्यादा कीजिए. लिक्विड सोप को मार्केट में लाने के लिए बोलिए. सिर्फ रूरल में नहीं, उनको हैंडीक्राफ्ट का दर्जा दे दीजिए और कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री भी लेके आ जाइए. गवर्नमेंट का बहुत सारे स्कीम्स है जो उन औरतों को मिल सकता है और बिजनेस को भी बढ़ा सकते हैं. वो भी आप कीजिए. जैसे उनको, कि उनको तो गवर्नमेंट से कोई इंटरेक्शन नहीं होता है, तो आप लोग जब क्लासेस लेते हैं तो मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप उनको भी बता दीजिए कि गवर्नमेंट में क्या स्कीम है, कैसे वो ले सकते हैं, इसको कैसे बना सकते हैं, कैसे मार्केट तक ले सकते हैं, क्योंकि उनके लिए मार्केटिंग के लिए भी गवर्नमेंट पैसा देते हैं और गवर्नमेंट भी बेच के भी देता है. मतलब खादी ग्रामोद्योग भवन से विमेन का जो हैंडमेड सोप है या लिक्विड सोप है या सैनिटाइजर जो भी है, बिकॉज आई नो कि ट्राइबल में दे डिड फ्रॉम एग्रीकल्चर they did sanitizers during the COVID सीजन. तो ये भी बना के वो खादी से भी बेच सकते हैं, बहुत सारा कमर्शियली भी कर सकते हैं. मतलब जब ये सब ज्यादा हो जाएगा ना, तो रूरल इंडिया अपने आप खुद इनकम कमाएगा एंड दे डोंट हैव टू कम ऑल द वे टू द मेट्रो सिटीज. तो ये रिवर्स माइग्रेशन भी कम हो जाएगा. यू आर डूइंग अ फैंटास्टिक जॉब प्रतिभा जी. और भी कीजिए और ज्यादा लोगों को इंस्पायर कीजिए. थैंक यू.
थैंक यू मैम. थैंक यू.
Any more questions? Another question maybe we'll wind up after that. Yes, Kumudaveni ma'am, please.
You can unmute and talk, I believe.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, we can.
Ma'am, your speech was an excellent one, and it was really very nice to hear from you. I'm an assistant professor working in Kumnada Arts and Science College in Coimbatore. And
thank you.
What I want to ask you is, see, the students after completing their degree, maybe an arts degree or an engineering degree, they go to they get placements in some companies, and after getting an experience, if they try to be an entrepreneur, if they work to be an entrepreneur, it would be better. Or as a fresher, if they come out after coming out of a degree as a fresher, they start as an entrepreneur. What will be the better one, do you think, ma'am? Did you get me? What I'm...
Yeah, I understood your question. The thing is that see, there are ways to look at it. What kind of entrepreneur they're going to become, that is very important. Some will be in business already. Their parents will be in business. They'll be, so this is something like they're going to take it up, take their family business forward. For that, for those kind of students, my advice will be, don't join your family business immediately. After college, in the similar lines, there'll be other companies, right? Go and work in the other companies for 5 years. Because only after 5 years, you will attain certain promotion level.
Okay.
Yeah. Not just maturity, even in the new organization that you're working, first year you'll be a trainee. So you'll only do Xeroxing, photocopying only you'll be doing, right? You will not do any major work. Simple things only you'll be doing. But learn the rope in 5 years. Then come back to your company. When you come back to your family business, after after 5 years of experience, because you have gained experience, the employers in your company will give you respect for the knowledge that you have gained, and not because you're your father's son or daughter, right? So when the decisions that you will take in the future, they will be with you. Otherwise, they will say, he's just inherited the business. What does he know about business, right? So you will not have a team cooperation at one level. You will not have the maturity to handle it at the second level. So for me is that please go for those kind of students, please gain experience and come back to your industry. For a person who don't have any business background, right? And for completely fresher, right? For them, it is very, very important that they have to gain experience outside, because being a businessman is also a mindset. So those kind of students should not go into big companies and join. Because when you go to big companies and join, you will only be learning that department work, right? You will not be learning to become a businessman. So you have to go and join a middle or a small industries, where you don't have too many hierarchies. You have management, and then you have workers directly link. That is where you will gain the most important experience of becoming a businessman, because you will learn from your boss, who's the management himself or herself. You will learn from them not just what you have to do as work, but how you have to think for the business. This is very important because there's nobody else to mold you, because you don't have a business family background. So those kind of students will have to they should not look at their first month salary, because a bigger company will pay you higher salary, but you don't learn the ropes. You only do that particular work. But a smaller company will pay you less, but you gain the experience of business. So if you have to become a businessman and you don't have a family business background, please go and join a small company and learn the business ropes and then become an entrepreneur. Everywhere I say 5 years, don't get to 45 years age and then start a business. You will not be in a position to take risk. At the age of 28, 30, you have to be ready to start business. Even 30 is old, take 28. You can start a business even at the age of 70. But for the current student, when you have the opportunity to start young, start young. Put about 5 to 7 years for learning, for experience, and then get into business. The third kind of students are innovators, who are natural innovators, and they get into these incubation centers of the universities, their products. They automatically become entrepreneur, right? So for them, what I suggest is, when you having such innovative, creative thinking, not necessarily you will be good in finance and other management of a business. You may be very good with your product or your service thinking, right? So in incubation center, you get guided for your product and to some extent finance. So what you have to do is you have to get a friend or join hands with people who have the skill that you don't have, right? And start the business. This is my way of looking at things. I cannot say I'm always right, but this is my experience. From my experience, I talk. I don't talk from books. So this is my experience. This is what I would suggest, even if anybody comes to me directly and asks me this question. I hope I have answered you.
Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
Your network is very slow. Who is talking?
Ma'am.
Bhuvaneshwari, ma'am.
Can you please type it in the chat box?
Bhuvaneshwari,
ma'am, please type it in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Alone is very, yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Dr. Matilda from Sri Ramakrishna Engineering College, Coimbatore. Ma'am, thank you for an inspiring talk. See, being a EDC chief coordinator of the engineering college, I face a little problem when the women, they do innovative projects. The girls, they win a lot of competitions, and they would like to become entrepreneurs, but they don't get support from their parents, specifically the women kids, like they come up to a point of, prototyping and all that. Finally, they end up landing saying that the parents would suggest, if you want, you can go for a job. Don't become entrepreneurs. Could you just give me some few hints, how to convince the parents, because struggled a lot in this.
Yeah, this is a problem, Dr. Mary. It happens in many places. Again, I will draw from my experience. What I do is I have sessions for the parents. It's very a university having an incubation center who are actually encouraging students to innovate and think and do things. I think you guys have to have a couple of sessions, not one session, couple of sessions with the parents. In the parents, both of them will not say no. If you actually look at their body language, you will find that one of them is more willing to support the kid than the other, right? So it is basically how you manage the one who's willing to give support. You will have to inspire them, encourage them, show them examples. That is why I said one woman failure entrepreneur will stop other women coming in. But you will have to showcase success stories. So your orientation program, please include parents and show them videos of successful women entrepreneur in the way that you want your students to become. Don't show them very big entrepreneurs, because they will say, my daughter or son will not reach that level anyways. Take somebody who are in reachable level. Like if you call Zoho co-founder Kumara Vembu and all, they are excellent inspirations. And they do a lot of these rural inspiration programs also. And they are the people who can do a damn good convincing of parents. You have to bring in such speakers for your parents' orientation. Don't give orientation to the parents on how you're going to educate your children. What are the kind of classes and what are the kind of placements you're going to have. Educate them the necessity of entrepreneurs as well as placements. Right? Because if everybody becomes entrepreneur, you won't have anybody to work also. But a student having the kind of entrepreneur ability and a good product knowledge who are innovators, please don't allow them to settle for jobs. Make them meet with mentors in the industry. Now, a lot of universities have tie-up with mentors of businessmen who actually, you can actually do a tie-up with many of these businessmen or women or whoever it is, tie up with them, make them come give sessions, let them inspire the students, let them inspire the parents, right? You need to have joint sessions, you need to have separate sessions, you have to make them understand, because what has happened is most of the parents say you go in for work because every month you will get a standard, some coming into your house as income, and then when you get married, you don't have so much of a problem with your in-law family. But most of the in-laws will not support you as an entrepreneur, is what they will tell you. Now, thing is that now tell them in IT company, if COVID comes, if 50% loses a job, your children will be one of them, right? So there are negatives in all fields. In IT companies, they will just give you a pink slip. You're out of the company the next day, right? They don't give you 1 month notice, 2 month notice. You appear for legal appeal like a manufacturing industry. All that does not happen in IT industry or any of the fast growing industries. So risk is there everywhere. If a child has the ability, please convince the parents that the child has the ability. Now, not that every child will go through that phase. There will be a couple of children, girls who reach up to that level. Even if you don't give orientation to the whole lot of parents, you can call these set of parents, discuss with them, put them onto mentors and things like that. Connect them well. So basically, it is exposure. What your mind exposes yourself to, that much of freedom the girls will get. So this is what I can think of. But yes, this is an ongoing problem I have faced, that even many of the boys keep telling me, Madam, I want to become a businessman, but my father says, don't take the risk, go and join a corporate company, right? I tell the guy, if you try to convince your father, if your father is not convinced, go for 5 years, go and learn experience for the corporate world and come back and say, if you still want to become an entrepreneur, after 5 years, you're a man yourself, right? Then you come back and tell your father, I have looked at my both advantage and disadvantage. I want to start a business. Then your parents' defense will come less. They will be more willing to listen to you. The other thing is also there. Many of the girls' parents don't want the girls to get married to a businessman because he doesn't have a steady income. That is also there. It is a mindset problem in India. I wouldn't say that it will change overnight. It will only change with examples. We create examples, we give exposure to them, we talk. Unfortunately, media in India doesn't talk about these things because these are not TRP selling points, no, for them. For them, selling is all controversies, the things that you can make into major hype and thing. Only that is discussed in the news. This is not discussed in the news. But as a college, you surely have a parent orientation program. Bring these models in your orientation program is what I would recommend.
Thank you
so much.
You will take a long time to get out of this, Dr. Mary, but one step at a time is always good. If everybody thinks like the way we think, things will surely change.
Last 8 years, I'm with this, struggling, in fact.
Yeah,
that is why
she has given you right thing. Find out who is weak in that out of the two parents, and you convince them. That's what she was telling you.
Yes.
So maybe as she said, a personal meeting, if it is allowed, that you go with ma'am. That's what ma'am is telling. Yeah. Otherwise, call her for a talk one time. Maybe even.
I have your mail ID.
Yeah, we will share all that, ma'am. If you want to give it now, you can. Otherwise, also we will share, ma'am, with all that.
I will put it in the chat box. Whoever wants can contact me in that mail ID.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Bhuvneshwari, ma'am, last question. Maybe we are going out of time. Maybe, ma'am. Yeah.
I know you must be having a next session. Very sorry about this. I know you've given me 2 to 4.
Yeah, we are exactly at that border. What's her name? Bhuvneshwari, ma'am. Are you listening to me? Are you able to hear me? She was keep on asking. Maybe there was some network issue.
Yes, ma'am. I could hear you.
Yeah, please. You wanted to ask.
No, I posted my question in the chat box. Could you able to see it, ma'am?
Yeah, we will check, ma'am. We'll check. Maybe as admin, she would have posted the question. Now she changed her name.
I'm not able to see her question, ma'am.
Ma'am, it's there, no, ma'am. In the start.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'll read the question for you, ma'am.
Sure.
In the startups, you have limited time for the product. Within that, the financial analysis become a crucial part. Do you have suggestions regarding this?
Ma'am, for startup, you have to have the financial things worked out, the thing is that what you have to do is when you're getting the product ready, you must know the market. That is why I say that if you are not good in financial analysis, please take somebody's help, because without financial analysis, your investors will not even touch you. You need to have a good 5-year plan. You need to have how to go to the market plan. And see, I have been in the part of the investor side also. So what the investors see is not just the product. The first thing they see is the team behind the product. If I invest in this team, they don't invest in the product. They invest in the team. Even if the product fails, they continue to invest in the team. If the team is passionate and if they feel that the team can deliver, and they will not stop trying, right? So the team is very important first. Then comes the product and the relevance of the product in the market, right? And then comes the financial part of it. And what is your financial planning? Don't go in for a Excel sheet kind of a working in for financial plan, because they are all angel investors, or all the investors can do all mind calculation. When they know it's an Excel sheet working, they will think that, okay, these people have not really given thought. So there itself you will fall. So please think behind the financials. If you don't know how to do a financial, there are people to help you in your family, or get a chartered accountant help to do it, or get a businessman's help do it. Get somebody to mentor you first, because if your finance doesn't go through, if your finance does not hold the water, then you will lose the investment. Very important. Financial is very crucial on, and you also must tell them or convince them as what is the go-to market plan. That is also very important, that marketing comes in. Go-to market plan means don't go and tell them I will do TV advertisement and paper advertisement. They will not even touch you, right? So you will have to be thinking about all these things. That is why I always say that go as a team. One person in the team will be very strong in the product. The other person can be very strong in marketing and communication. Generally, they are the ones who go and pitch to the investors. The third person can be very strong in financials. Not necessarily all three have to be students. The product innovator can be a student, while the other two can be an experienced person, right? And they don't have to leave their job. The marketing and the financial analyst can be a part-time. So they can be working somewhere and contributing to this project, right? And while one person who's completely onto this, the product developer, is that person is a student. So this is the best way to go to the investors. Without that, nobody will touch you with money. That's the problem.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Bhuvaneshwari, ma'am. I think you got the answers from ma'am.
Thank you.
And
Yes,
ma'am, when I was listening to Uma, ma'am, I was thinking about how we apply for project funding. As you said, team is very important. Whether interdisciplinary, as you said, now people are saying that interdisciplinary. Whether
Yes.
I have a doctor, engineer, and biologist for healthcare, and all that is.
Yeah, all those are jargons. All those are
Yeah.
jargons. In simple way, you have to have person who has different skills. People from different skills. Yes, that's important.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Ramya. Yeah, I think you have really, ma'am. You thought you can complete within 1 hour, 1.5 hours, isn't it, ma'am? So we know
Yes.
we have given you correct time, right time. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ramya, please.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you very much. We do have a lot of positive feedback this time also in the chat box. So I'm sure you'll be scrolling them down to read it. It's really very inspiring, and you always motivate us. But this motivation stays for me maybe for 2 or 3 days. After that, okay, I'll have to get back to my normal work. Yes. So I'm sure there are many people who will take it ahead, as you've given people the ideas of how to take up this business into the education industry also. So thank you very much for your time and for your valuable inputs, for making this session very interesting and very interactive, because you always related to what we are and how we see things. Yes, but you see things in a very different way and make all those things very memorable in our life. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that. I hope all of you enjoyed the session. From the feedback which is there in the chat box, I'm sure to understand that this is very informative and very interesting session. Thank you once again, ma'am, on behalf of the team.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye now. See you.
Bye, ma'am. See you.
Yeah, dear participants. Yeah, Ramya, can we